You know, the rust is a real important thing. You know, the Pantheon in Rome
Oh, yeah,
is over 2,000 years old,
right,
and there's no reinforcing in it. And because of the reinforcing, which enables us to do pretty amazing things with concrete,
right,
the lifespan is now rated these days at 50 years for
Right.
reinforced concrete.
yeah.
That's a terrible thing.
And that's one of the reasons why
Yeah, it's not very
fiberglass
long.
rebar is revolutionary,
Yeah,
because it will last for millennia,
yeah,
which is, obviously will fill the whole project with what ICF does, because ICF will last for millennia if the rebar is intact. And one of the things is, for the life cycle, I'm going to go through some of that with you, as far as why not only will it last for millennia, but if you remember when McDonald's had Big Mac containers on the market, and they were made out of EPS, expanded polystyrene.
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
They took it
Right.
off the market
Yeah.
because it was going to be in landfills for
Yeah.
35,000 years.
yeah,
And this is something, Pat, that you have to keep in mind, that when you warranty your projects, you got to tell people that it's not forever. You know that within 35,000 years, you probably will have to go back and do some modifications. Okay.
He's only good up to 30,000
That's,
years.
yeah, that's pretty much in line with my other warranties, no problem.
Right. Do me a favor and turn the light switch off there. Thank you. Great. We're looking at
Okay.
PowerPoint
So just the deduction, the ICF industry, ICF makes 5% residential starts. Now that number is changing because that's an older number. We're actually have been growing at about nationally about 5% of the market share has been being taken over by the ICF industry.
Per year, per what?
Per year, over the last 2 years.
Wow.
We have been growing unbelievably. When I started in the business, I thought 25 years ago, knowing what ICF can do, I said, nobody's ever going to build a stick-built house within 10 years. I was way off.
Yeah.
I was way off.
I was the same way with SIPs, and in fact, we have
I'm
a
still shaking my head.
2% ceiling on SIPs, and I can't understand why.
Yeah,
I can't understand why.
yeah.
By every metric, it's a better way
Yeah.
to build.
It really is.
Pat's house is SIPs.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Bill
Okay.
converted me,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it took a lot of screws on his fingernails. And
Yeah.
to do the trick, but, I said, you're going to be around for 30,000 years. This is, the long term. It's the right way.
Right.
Be on the right side of history.
Exactly.
Look, I convert every client I can possibly convert.
He does indeed.
Yeah.
Does indeed.
Yeah, and you look at things that are going to not only the life cycle, the energy efficiency, the sound quality, the air quality,
Yeah.
all the other things that go along with it is what makes, and in the synergy between ICF and SIPs is great, because we do a lot of pitched roofs also in ICF, but doing a pitched roof in ICF is expensive because it's a lot more labor intensive. We have a couple of precast companies that they precast roofing systems, and they'll use our like that, and then they just like when we're doing the Hobby Lobbies, all those are tilt wall. So we actually, which the tilt wall is the same thing as our light deck. So basically, they'll stack cast all the roof system, and just like they'll do with SIP, they'll crane them up, and they'll just
Right.
put them all together. And with the SIPs, it's basically a two-sided concrete wall or a one-sided concrete wall, depending on office space. Usually in a commercial atmosphere, you're going to have 10% office space in a commercial building. So what we'll do? Did you bring any like that samples in?
I can bring them in.
Could you bring a couple in?
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but just
One change that we have seen, Chris used to spend a lot of time telling people that call on the phone what ICFs are and what they do. In the last probably 6 months, it's been more people that are already in the
Familiar.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's more about what is it that our ICF does different than other.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna start. You know, I've looked at a lot of different ICF systems.
Right.
And I wanted you to tell me, you know, why this one, but we'll get into it. You'll
Yeah.
make your presentation and then I'll.
And
have
then we'll
questions.
do a little Q&A. It may be a little parochial for you if you already know a lot of this,
It's
so I'll
okay, well,
kind of skim by it pretty quick.
As you wish, you know,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, look, you gotta keep track of your time too, so.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually, you know where the reservation is?
I do.
Yeah.
I work there.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing a growing facility for pot.
I know. We lost. We were shortlisted for it, but we didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going there next because they have that, and then they have the
Who's the architect?
dispensatory. I don't know. He's going to be at the site.
Okay.
You know, so I was invited over by. Yeah, you could see on
Just
the.
watch my the steel on
Yeah.
my table.
Yeah, actually,
So
if
turn
you
it-
want,
just turn it
take a
over.
piece off.
Just turn it
Just
over.
Like that.
Just flip it.
Flip it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you can see it better anyway.
Okay. That's the underside. So you have an 18
This is
gauge
underside.
stud. Yeah. So you have an 18 gauge stud on the bottom, and it's tongue and groove, as you can see.
Yeah.
And the beam pockets are 6 inches wide
Yeah.
by whatever depth you need.
You need,
The
right.
longer,
Yeah.
the longer the span,
Span.
just like with any type of dimensional lumber,
Yeah.
we would go with a deeper channel to
Right.
give you your span.
But these stay the same.
Those always stay the same.
So you, because it and so you shore them up temporarily.
Right, we do it.
Yeah.
You typically will do a 5 foot by 5 foot shoring pattern.
I see.
So what we'll do is transverse to the steel stud.
Mm-hmm.
You'll put either a 4x4 or a double 2x6, and then you put shoring posts, adjustable shoring posts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys don't have them, and they'll just frame a wall underneath it 5 feet on center. But that's labor intensive. We rent shoring posts. You know, we have. I probably have 1,000 shoring posts because we rent them all over the East Coast. So we have more than enough, and there's even local shoring companies that can do that. And then with the ICF walls, we have rentals of different types of ICF bracing systems.
Yeah,
And we'll
that
usually,
we've learned is critical.
yeah. Do you have your own? Do you have your own
No,
bracing
no.
system? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So depending on what your situation
gotta
is,
be
if
well
you
braced.
what's that?
It's gotta be well braced.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we recommend a 6 foot increment. I know some companies will tell you to go 8. I think it's a bit much, you know, because you want to make sure you don't have any wiggles in the wall.
Right, well,
Yeah, you really want it razor straight. We just did one down in Sag Harbor, which was right on the water. That was 14 foot high walls, 10-inch core.
where? I might have seen it.
What's that was
It was by Mo, right? Mo Construction.
So
Mo
hold-
Construction did the install.
Yeah,
Do you
Mo
remember
Mo
the
Construction's right down the road. You know that.
I can
You know
find
Mo
out.
Construction?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know of them, I have never
Yeah.
used them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
there were several
Not on
times.
West
that was their
Water, is
first
it?
rodeo, and we trained them how to use the material.
Is it 2 West Water?
No, it wasn't.
No, I don't think that was it.
Okay.
I can't
You
remember
think you have
the
it in your
name.
phone, Kev?
No, I might have pictures of it though.
Yeah. And that was that, not only that, but they had 8 piers within the wall. I think it was 450
In the
lineal
truck?
feet of wall, and they had
Sorry.
8 piers, 4 on each side, that were 4 foot by 6 foot or 4 foot by 8 foot. Huge, and it was all insulated block on all sides because they didn't want bridging, and they for their first project it was spot on. The walls were razor straight, really razor straight.
They had the piers.
Yeah, they were point loads, and they only did below grade, and
It's gotta be Bialski's project with that many linear feet of wall.
I think you're right.
There's nothing else
Yeah,
that
yeah,
big going
right,
on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right downtown.
Jay Bialski is the.
It was right on the.
Yeah, it was right on the water.
Looking
Yeah,
right
yeah,
out
that's,
over.
that's 2 West Water Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
He's building 3
Yeah.
buildings there.
No,
Big-
no, this
No, that
is
wasn't
just one house.
One setback house.
And he
Like a
owns-
dead end.
3 other houses on that same area, but absolutely gorgeous,
maybe.
gorgeous area.
Yeah, the
You
view.
sure it's Sag Harbor proper, not North Haven or?
No, it was. I'm
Walking
99%
distance from the
sure it's Sag
flagpole.
Harbor. What's that?
Right, walking distance from the flagpole.
No,
No?
nowhere near there.
No.
Okay,
Nowhere near
it's
that.
not, it's
No,
not
it's
West
not
Water
that.
Street then.
We'll find the
Yeah.
address, and you know you can if you want to drive by.
It's
do you know?
Petonic Avenue.
What is it?
Peconic
Yeah, Platonic.
with a T?
No, P. Platonic. In.
Tonic with a
Novak?
T. No, Peconic.
Petonic? I never
Is that
heard
it?
of Petonic.
Is that the one?
Must
Novak.
be P-E-C, Peconic.
Or might be another address.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
Peconic isn't
Hmm.
typical street name around here.
Oh, so
Yeah.
this might be their warehouse then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mark Matthews, you
Yeah.
know Mark.
I sure do.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
We actually did Mark's first project in ICF, probably
He's
15,
an architect, Bill?
Yeah.
probably.
You don't know him?
No.
You know Tom Matthews? Caught
Me?
all the specialty woodwork?
Maybe I've heard of him.
Yeah, they're related.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we did.
Mhm.
Right near his office, we did an indoor swimming pool with the ICF walls, and
Mhm.
did the whole structure, and that was his first
Have you
rodeo.
done any pools at ICF?
Lots.
Lots.
Yeah, actually, we're doing 2 right now. If you want to go take a look, there's one in Grenada, just north of Venezuela, and then we have another one in the
Come on,
British
take a
Virgin
look.
This
Islands.
afternoon, right? You got nothing else on for this afternoon.
It's beautiful there.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. The British Virgin Islands, we have another one which is a huge
Yeah.
villa.
That's a lot closer. We'll go there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
But, yeah, but we've done a lot of swimming
No,
pools
no, it
locally.
seems to me that's a
too.
great use.
It is.
Yeah, because you
This
look
one?
at people always think that swimming pools you lose all your temperature through evaporation.
No.
You lose it through ground temperature.
Ground.
Right.
We've
And
done so, I can't tell you the number of houses we've done where we've
Mm,
sized the
okay.
boilers, the heating, for the pool heating.
mhm.
And it's been 2 to 3 times that what the
Oh,
house
yeah.
load is,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's because of you'll never beat Mother Nature. Mother Nature
That's
is
right.
the ground temperature is going to be 50, 55 degrees,
That's right.
and it's always going to suck that temperature. You'll
Infinite
never
heat
beat it.
sink. Yeah,
So by doing an ICF pool, now you have a thermal coffee cup,
yeah.
and you lose it. And if you use a retractable cover,
Right.
you're going to
Really?
hold a lot in
I
it.
know.
But we usually will put a 4-inch EPS mat underneath the pool,
Right.
and then we'll cut the bottom of the inside of the form. So when the
Floats
rebar will go up and it'll continue
Right,
all the
right.
way
It's-
around.
It's monolithic pour.
It's a monolithic pour. You
Yeah.
pour in the wall. You'll pour through the wall. Let it flow out
Yeah.
and go up about 6 inches inside the wall.
Mhm.
Finish pouring the floor.
Mhm.
By the time that the wall starts flashing off a little bit to stiffen up, so it doesn't push the concrete
Right, right,
out,
right.
Mhm.
then you finish pouring the walls and you're done.
Mhm.
And really unbelievable.
You
And
don't
there's-
need a pool heater.
no,
No,
no. People are extending their use of their pool upwards of 2 months
Sure,
longer
sure.
because it's affordable at that
Yeah,
point.
right. But swimming and coffee is not a very pleasant thing to do.
Actually, coffee would be a really great thing,
Oh, really?
but I can't have any.
I'm
So you cut me
sorry.
off.
All right.
Okay.
But in any event, I digress. The amount of ICF and commercial, I just went through that. The energy cost, the green factor, the sustainability is driving a lot. You know, you have a lot of people that are, especially millennials, that are really
Keen on
looking at saying, "Well, I'll spend more for green." Now, I always looked at it that green the only way that worked, the green factor, is it also had to be financially viable. It can't be so much more.
The triple bottom line.
Right, exactly. You know, people always have a grand idea of saying, "Well, I'm going to build green," and they find out what it's going to cost, and they say, "Well, maybe I'm not that green as I thought I was."
Yeah.
But the thing is when you really come down to it, ICF construction should be in the range of about 9% less expensive than conventional construction. And that's being that you're doing a number of things all at the same time, one crew, well, you've done it. You're the concrete guy, you're the framer, you're the sheather, you're the insulator, you have the waterproofing, you have everything done in one shot and one crew. You don't have multiple people coming in to point their fingers, oh, it wasn't me, it was this guy. So and carpenters have more of a tendency of doing much better with ICF because they're concrete guys are Stone Age type of people, and they're
They're a little rough.
Watch out.
They're
Yeah.
a little rough. Yeah,
I was brought up in the
I
brick and
know.
concrete business,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
know trying to get the guys will say
the tolerances are big.
Yeah, right.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they'll say, "Oh, I don't need these white things. I have my own forms," but they don't think outside the box, and they say, "Where we have one project that they're building 80 houses." Well, there's no concrete guy that I know of that has enough forms to
Forms.
do 80 houses.
Right.
Well, I could do 80 houses at the same time
Right.
if you have the crews to do the installation.
Right.
So all they do is get dropped off at the job site, and you're able to just continue to build. And when we were training the guys down in Grenada, it was funny. They never even knew what EPS was.
Right.
They do most everything in CMU. So they're humping concrete block, they're humping forms.
Yeah.
Now you're humping something
They
that weighs
like
5
this is much
pounds.
lighter.
Yeah, sure.
They weigh 5 pounds. They don't get oil and grease on them. They're clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt their hands. It's so much easier to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Normally their work day was 8 to 3. Well, they were working from 8 till dark, and they wanted to turn their car lights on
Yeah.
because they wanted to keep going. They felt so energized because it was so easy to work with. And within the first 2 weeks, that 4-story building, we got the first floor of the 4-story building up within 2 weeks, was up 16 feet high, 15 or 16 feet high, and it was a little over 2,000 lineal feet of wall. And they got the whole thing done. It was their first time ever doing it. It was really amazing. They were actually, now we're doing another 4-story building. We're doing a Coca-Cola plant and 2 villas on Grenada.
Yeah, I find that it's true with builders, whether it's SIPs or anything else like this. And once the crew acclimates, they feel on the first job, within the first couple of hours, usually, they say, I don't want to do the old stuff anymore. I just
Right.
want to build with this.
Exactly.
Which is
And
that's a good thing. But to get the boss to commit to it,
That's the thing.
You've been fighting it for 25 years.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you fight it, and you'll fight it with architects, engineers, and builders. They'll look at it and say, well, I've done this. Built with stick my whole life. I don't want to learn. I don't need to learn anything else. And it's
the license that we have is so that we deliver the highest, best value to our clients.
Right.
And anybody who's just stuck in that groove
Right.
is defaulting on
Oh,
that obligation, on that promise.
absolutely,
It's terrible.
yeah.
They
There's-
don't read the literature. They don't, the magazines. They don't
Look.
stay at, not
Right.
this
It's
guy.
amazing that it
So
doesn't.
you can click over to the next one. The properties which you're aware of, the EPS, expanded polystyrene, 100% recyclable, manufactured in various ASTM specifications
Right.
with third-party verification.
It's 1 pound or 0.9.
We use 1.25
1.2.
in both our wall. We use a 2-pound normally for our undergrade or
I see.
geofoam.
Right.
You do mostly
That's different.
insulation underneath your.
Different density for.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
stronger density underneath your concrete floors.
Sure.
And what that does is the same thing as we were talking about with pools.
Mm-hmm.
That temperature that's coming in from your basement floor is 55 degrees. If you're able to cap that out and not have it transfer into your house, that's a savings. Same reason why what we do a lot of geofoam underneath sidewalks and driveways for 2 reasons. What kills sidewalks and driveways? It's the frost and thaw.
Yeah.
It rises and falls, rises and thaws. You have a refrigerator at home. Your refrigerator's made out of EPS. It's 2 inches of EPS inside your freezer, and inside your freezer is sub-freezing temperature. 2 inches away is room temperature. EPS will not allow that temperature to go out. Well, same thing if you use it on underneath your concrete slab, that it may be 0 degrees outside and 55 degrees underneath. That 0 degrees can never get through that EPS.
Well, it's not exactly true. Okay. Insulation delays the
Right.
flow of heat.
Right.
It doesn't, it's not a permanent barrier like a waterproof barrier. It delays, but that delay and the amount of heat that it's delaying is very, very, very significant.
Yeah.
So we don't say don't do it. I'm a big proponent for using it, but just it's a little technical error,
Is the-
error there to say
is the-
that it never lets go.
When you say geofoam, is that the stuff that will support great weights?
Oh yeah. Well, this is the same as geofoam. Basically, there's no real difference.
Well, there's an foam insulation that's virtually crush proof.
Well, we use this like we're doing right now up in
Connecticut,
Rochester.
Rochester.
We're doing a library that's built. If you're familiar with the ground is very poor soil conditions. So what they're doing is they're excavating a great amount of material, of substandard material, and they're building the whole, actually not only the inside, but the whole outside park area of the library, which is huge. We have about, I think we have 57 tractor trailer loads of EPS. And they're building the whole library.
It's a big
Instead of
library.
backfilling and trying to put crushed stone in, it's prohibitive because you gotta compact it every 4 to 6 inches, and bring it in, the labor, everything else. Now you bring on EPS in, you're able to build a whole building on that, and it sustains the weight. Underneath road beds, we'll sell to interstate the interstates where they'll have a valley, and instead of putting fill in, they'll do the whole valley in EPS, or roadway embankments where you have the entry level to bridge areas. That's all done in EPS, and then they pour concrete, and you draw tractor trailers and everything else over it.
Yeah, it's a matter of spreading load. You can take your
No,
finger and push it
I
right
know,
through.
I get that.
Okay.
I
It's a
mean, look,
snowshoe effect.
it's too bad you're
Right.
talking about a library, because
Yeah.
that was the last big project we did. We added on to the library in Sag Harbor. And
Oh, okay.
the architects for that job, to me, committed two big sins. One is they didn't know about ICFs, and they weren't up on the LED revolution.
Really?
Which is sad.
Wow.
I mean, it was
They
a
just-
perfect building. They built it out of block.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did talk to them about ICF, but didn't get any traction. So
Wow. That's very.
It's
that's
sad.
really sad.
It's very
What an opportunity lost.
oh yeah, big opportunity.
And they'll pay for it
Oh, they
for the
are.
next 100 years.
Exactly.
They are.
how I
That's the
see it,
problem.
too. Right.
That's the problem. They are paying for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The automobile fleet in this country turns over once every 10 years.
Mhm.
So if you get some junk, okay, you can upgrade it. But our housing,
Right,
our
buildings are not that way.
Buildings should have hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Hundreds of
Yeah,
years.
you
It's well
look
over
at it
100 years.
here, we think we live in houses that are old. If you live in a house that's 125 years old,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're living in an ancient home.
Yeah.
Actually, Sylvia and I were ready, on the 25th, we were going to Italy. Yeah, that's
were-
out.
Right.
So they
Yeah,
closed
right.
it down.
That
Yeah,
trip is
yeah. Well, we've been
delayed,
there. We know.
postponed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to
you're
be in
right.
Italy, and
Right.
then we were going to go from there to Switzerland, and from Switzerland we were going to go over to Greece. And every place we were going to go, every place said, no, we're not letting you in.
No.
But
Well, their
but
houses
they
there.
live in houses. I've slept in houses that are 1,000 years
1,000
old.
years old.
And people are still every day living that way.
Yeah.
The only advantage to obviously doing it this way is they're either very cold. In the summertime they're
Yeah.
very comfortable, but in
Yeah.
the wintertime they can
it's
be
not
pretty
so
brutal.
good, yeah.
But with this in itself is so insulated. The
You use it for
the-
retaining walls?
oh yeah, quite often.
Really?
Yeah, the
What's the advantage there?
well, the advantage of it is you can put a retaining wall up very, very quickly. Like, we've done tiered retaining walls, and you're able to form them, pour them within a day. So the speed of construction is that much more. And then if you're going to be putting either cultured stone on the outside or stucco, or just top it with bluestone. There's all sorts of applications you can do to, but the speed of construction is more than,
Is that,
is
yeah.
more,
Okay.
is,
Well, that's
and if
actually
you wanna
what
do
we'll be
any,
doing with this project.
Well, yeah,
It's like a retaining.
Right. and then if you have any,
I have to do some retaining walls for my Sag Harbor project.
if you have any undulating walls that are circular walls, the ICF is so much easier to use than any other type of forming system. So if you have a serpentine wall, it's
You just,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna have
you
to
just
show us.
miter them
well,
to,
it depends. Depends on your radius. A lot of times, what we'll do, we're doing one right now, which is a 50. I'm trying to remember what it is from center.
the radius,
Yeah, it's 50. I think it's 58 feet.
Oh, so that's.
That's a big
you don't- you
radius.
don't have
Yeah,
to-
it's a
you don't
big
have to
radius. And
change
what we
anything.
do is we take the forms, and instead of laying them horizontally,
Yeah.
we stand them up, and they all get. So we do almost like a barrel.
Mhm.
So they all lock together, and you're able to get a segmented circle,
Mhm.
and it pours just as easy, and it's faster to build with. A lot of times, if we're doing a very tight circle,
Yeah.
we'll segment it, where we'll take it, we'll run it laterally, and we'll put a V groove on the inside. We'll cut away, and on the outside we'll put a V groove, and we'll bend the form, and we'll hold it with 1/4 inch Luan or with masonite,
I see.
and screw them all together. And then you set up one jig, and you just have one guy cutting, one guy doing all your lath on the outside, or hold that, and then you stack them all together. You can do a tight radius. We've done what was Luster's? That was a 6. We had 6-foot radius, and then we had the a 10-foot radius for retaining walls
that's
for
pretty
that
tight.
one. Yeah.
Okay, I learned something there.
Yeah. Room additions, safe rooms, multifamily. These are some of the things that we've already talked about. Schools, storage facilities, movie theaters, military installations, and retaining walls. Some of the features, and I'm sure you probably know it, but just to recap, the STC rating, the sound rating of our walls, non-composite, meaning without sheetrock or siding, we have a 53. Now, in the presentation, it's going to say that it's a 25, but that's a way outdated number. It is it has been documented now at a 53, which is virtually soundproof. And near an international airport, you need an STC rating of 48 composite overall. So when you're doing a movie theater or you're doing multifamily housing, the advantage is one of the biggest problems when you're doing an apartment building or condos is the cross contamination of sound from one apartment
yeah.
from the other. When you have virtually soundproof, we've done a lot of buildings in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and they do the ball bearing test where they drop a ball bearing. The building department comes in, they do a sound rating of what your floor system is. Well, between light deck and this, it's virtually
The
soundproof.
building department in New York does that?
Yeah.
No kidding, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they
How
really.
big a
But
ball
the-
bearing?
But the bar is very low. The standard's very low because it allows for conventional construction. You know, it didn't foresee this, so I don't know, unless they upgraded the
They've
standard.
upgraded it dramatically with
Good.
the window systems, with the triple glaze now is almost mandatory for the sound rating, and and we'll bring a lot of when we're doing work in the city, we'll bring the fire departments in, and we get them to walk through the building so they understand how different this building is, because we have a 4-hour fire rating, but it's more than that because you don't have to be tested for more than that. You know,
I see.
but you still need a flash rating on the outside. So on the EPS, normally 1/2 inch rock will be enough for being able to do that. You don't need 5/8 if you don't want to. And you've done it. The advantage of using ICF also. Years ago, when I was building and you'd do a very high-end house, you would sheetrock it and then laminate a second board over it so you wouldn't have any nail pops or anything. With this, since we have solid surface already, what you do is you take we have an adhesive, you put it on the back of the rock, you put it on the wall, you put a couple of screws in the tapered edge. Now there's no field screwing, and all you have is the tapered edges to screw. Much cleaner look, faster to install, easier for the spackler, for the sheetrocker, and you'd never have a nail pop, and it really is a nice look. So you can jump to the next. Okay. Obviously, with the difference between CMU and is you know the difference as far as the temperature transfer and those type of things. You can go. Now that's a concrete roof on pitched roof on this particular project. Obviously the quietness, the efficiency, the strength, the safety, the sustainability. And if you're in a high wind area, and that's one of the reasons why we use a lot of concrete roofs for tornado areas, hurricane
Yeah,
areas.
just thinking exactly that. I was in Tornado Alley, boy.
Yeah. We've already gotten some calls for the last storm. Reasons: the air filtration, the elimination of thermal bridging, effect on HVAC systems, saving up to 70% of heating and 50% of AC, reducing the tonnage of BTUs.
And actually, for the library, the largest the room, the highest is the savings on energy. So they'll need to spend less money throughout the years because they have large rooms at the library. So if you ever come across that, maybe Chris can give them a call and talk to them about it.
Yeah, as far I work for
I
you.
wish I had met you back then.
Yeah, me
I
too.
would have brought you in to help me sell it.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we're here for. That's what Kevin and Sylvia and I are here for, is to work as your sales tool, as your to learn what we do and how to do it, and you use us the way you need us to, as a sounding board, as to bring us in to talk to people that you need to have them understand what this material is, because it's pretty abstract.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
That's my daughter-in-law.
Hey, you.
Such a happy,
It's Delilah.
Delilah, you're a happy girl.
Yeah.
Ben,
He likes you.
I don't know if you want to sit in. This is on ICFs.
Oh.
And because we're using them for the foundation for the temple. Right?
Sure. Yeah, let me just put this down.
Okay.
That's your little guy?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 6'3".
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The effective R value is an R50, and you know what all the R values are, and you know what the differences are from U value to R value. So the way we're able to achieve those type of numbers is
That's
because
what-
of air infiltration.
That's with 2-inch wall. R50.
Well, we have 2.5 inches of foam on each
Yeah.
side.
So 2.5. You're getting R50.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it gives you an equivalent to. How you doing, Dan?
Ben,
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 good morning.
how you doing? This
Good,
is
thank
Kevin, Sylvia.
We'll do this.
There you go.
The chicken wing.
There you go. You don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
It's good for regular flu too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we're just going over some of the highlights of what the ICF. Are you familiar with at all with the ICF?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you can.
can't be related to this guy and not know about this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. These are just some thermal imaging of the ICF versus conventional
Yes.
construction.
Now, do we have to have the buildings actually purple?
We can tweak that a little bit.
What's wrong with purple? Purple's good.
I guess, does it go with the coffee?
Reason stronger, safer, 200 mile an hour winds, 2 to 4 hour fire rating.
And it's the same comment that it's only tested to 200 miles an
Right,
hour.
exactly, but nobody goes beyond that
Beyond
because
that,
it's
right.
Now, so that,
Yeah,
where
probably
was it?
better.
Was
Natural.
the house on the Gulf Coast there?
Oh,
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
survived, was that
Yeah.
ICF?
that was ICF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, after Katrina.
right,
Yeah, we had the aerial view.
right.
I had it in my
It had
office.
concrete roof too?
No,
No?
that was a stick roof.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, because that was a steep pitch roof.
Right.
We had a guy do a 12-12 pitch with light deck, but they did the cast.
how do you pour that?
They didn't. They
Three-
actually
four-
poured it on the ground and they
poured it up.
craned it up.
Yeah.
You know, so you can go. Okay. Obviously, we already spoke about the sound transmission of between wood and ICF. Go ahead. Reason that it's healthier. Obviously, you don't have the molds and mildews and all the things that you can get in a conventional house
Right. We
because
know.
there's no air. There's no.
We sell the same thing with SIPs.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so you're well familiar with it.
We're very familiar with
Okay.
this.
Optimized performance, durability, recyclable, timber saving, local materials, and indoor air quality and leads. Lead,
Meat certification.
right. Insulated concrete forms, just a couple of projects. Okay, just a couple of different types of panels. The type of panel that I produce are the ones to your left.
Oh,
The ones, the waffle and
yeah.
the post and beam.
Right.
They were something that was in vogue probably 15, 20 years ago. I don't know if anybody actually makes them any longer,
Really?
but
I was gonna say, I've
everybody
never heard
does a
of these other
flat wall
two.
system right
Well,
now.
The grid
I
ones.
was looking at the grid ones because again,
I just
one of
saw
the features is
recently.
that they save like 50% of the concrete.
Yeah, but the problem with them also is they lose their fire capability because with the waffle grid, it would burn right through because it was a post
Right.
and beam design,
Yeah.
and that EPS that took up that void
Yeah.
was able to. There was no. You could burn right through it.
Right. Well,
Because
we
it
have
was-
the same. Well, but for a house out here, you don't need the rating. You know, a commercial building, you might need the rating, but for residential, that would still be.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody even makes it anymore.
How do you get the concrete into that?
Well, that was a problem too. They were finding that when they were pouring it, consolidating of concrete, it didn't have the flowability because there was so much resistance. So if you had a void, you really didn't know it.
I see.
So there were a lot of pitfalls to it. I used it probably 20 years ago. I started out with a post and beam, and I saw some of the pitfalls to it. But,
You're not saying this is post and beam, are you? The one with the.
No, that's,
Okay.
that's the light.
no,
deck.
that's
Okay.
the light deck floor system.
Okay.
The one to the left is the one that's standing up behind Kevin.
Yeah.
That's a regular conventional flat wall.
Right.
Okay, you can go. The basic steps.
Wait, go back. Go
Can you
back,
go back?
to
To assembly or footing?
no, the slides. Go back.
I'm trying.
You went through so fast, but I saw something that was of interest there.
Okay. You going the right way?
You
No,
go-
No.
She's
Is
going
Is it going
forward.
forward?
gotta
Yeah,
go the
you're
other
going
way.
forward.
Okay.
Go the
I'm
other way,
sorry.
right.
So we were.
Gotta clean that
Okay, you
screen.
lost the screen.
It's nasty. Oh, the
Just get that
coronavirus
one.
is sitting there.
What then?
You got it
We have to
back?
clean our
Yes.
monitor. Our
Uh,
fingerprints.
do 3
It's
clicks.
saying Corona beer is actually
One,
taking a
two,
big drop. People are so.
then-
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, do one more
That's
and just leave it there.
Right.
Okay,
No,
hold
next
it.
And then
one.
next one. And then I'll just leave it there.
There,
That
that
one?
slide.
Okay.
The radius in
Yes.
the corner.
Well,
Tell
we
me
could bring
about
one
it.
of
Yeah, I
those
could bring
in.
it
That's
in.
So
your.
that comes from the factory that way.
Yes, that's how.
And you specify, or it's a standard.
That's the standard form.
That's to add strength
what
at
is
the
the
corners?
what is the
Yeah,
radius,
what it
like
does is
4-inch radius?
it makes the corners much more robust.
from blowing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's a
And you
4-inch.
put bent bar in there to
Just a 90
All of it?
degree bar.
just,
Yeah, you'd still put a 90 degree in there. Okay, that's the waterproofing that goes on the outside, the PolyGuard. below grade.
What is that?
It's actually like a butyl
Yeah.
self-stick, peel and stick,
Stick, yeah.
very similar to Ice Shield, but it's rated for below grade. And it's you peel it and it goes up like a curtain. It goes vertically. It's 4 foot wide by 50-foot rolls, and you just peel it, stick it,
Yeah.
and just drape it down over your spread footing, so you have a
Right.
lap.
Right.
Okay.
But does that prevents you then from stuccoing over it or something though?
Oh, well, not
That's
below
up below
grade.
grade.
This is only for below grade.
Okay.
Above grade, you're still stucco. We just showed hardy plank.
Mm-hmm.
That's hardy plank being installed over the top of it. Our stud is every 6 inches on center, so you're able to screw the whatever you need directly to the perimeter of it. Sheetrock, what we described with the rock. What is something that's done quite often is to eliminate nail pops or anything else, since it's solid surface. You can glue the back of the rock. You put the rock on. You only screw the tapered edges where you got to tape anyhow, and there's no
But the-
field screwing or spackling.
Okay, my understanding of the nail pops is they're a function of wood and it's drying.
It's true.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, if you're going to something like this,
Right.
I don't think you'd need to worry about nail pops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's totally up to you.
I mean, I get the fact that
it's
you get a
somewhat
level,
time
you get a
saving.
level 5 finish much easier, but
Yeah.
it seems to me the nail pops are just strictly a wood frame issue.
Then with you screw your boxes in, you can see where the channel is on the underside. You use a hot knife to cut the channels for your wiring for your boxes, and you screw your box directly right to the concrete in the back. Okay.
Okay.
The building steps, the things that we already talked about, the forming, the insulation. Okay.
You want to go back to the steps?
You just go back for a sec. The footing assembly. Go to the next one.
One more.
Okay. The forming, the insulation, the vapor barrier, the furring, the air barrier, and rebar placement is all done in one shot. So, as we were talking earlier about how it saves on your cost of changing crews out from going from foundation to above grade, you're able to, everybody stays on the site at the same time, and you don't have that different crews coming in. So your crew levels go down dramatically.
Yeah, it shrinks your scheduling.
Yep.
You're not waiting. Sometimes you can wait 3 days. to
Exactly.
get somebody scheduled.
Yep.
Have to,
Go ahead.
someone else.
The ICF's construction system benefits architectural unlimited flexibility, which is obviously right up your alley, what you're looking for. The energy efficiency, the sustainability, environmentally friendly, and building code approval. You don't need all the Simpson wall, all the
Right.
ties and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Old
So it
barrels and
eliminates,
things, yeah.
and that end of the package is fairly expensive.
Yeah.
Where if you can eliminate that. Now, that being said, if you want to do a stick built floor on the interior, you can certainly do that. You don't have to do a light deck floor for interior floors.
Right.
But we have a Simpson wall tie, which is a 2-part tie, which embeds in, you cut 2 notches into the EPS, goes right into the form, and it embeds itself when the concrete's poured. And you normally those plates are about that big, and they go about every 2 feet on center. And you put a rim joist
ledger,
around the
yeah,
perimeter,
right.
and then you have a secondary hanger, which is like a J hook, and you use I think it's an 18 gauge plate. That J hook goes in, and you have a 8 grade bolts that go through the ledger, through that hanger, into the plate that your embedments, and that's what holds your rim joist on. And then you would just do almost like bloom framing, where you're
Yeah.
going to be doing an interior floor joist and hangers.
Yeah, we do that with the SIPs too.
Okay. Pouring the floor, you can see on the bottom left, you can see the bracing pattern That looks actually like a 4-foot pattern. It really depends on the loading. Like that one job that I talked to you about in Connecticut that has a 24-inch light deck. That was a 4-inch bracing pattern because of the extreme weight. It was significantly more. But if you do a 12-inch light deck, it's usually a 5-foot by 5-foot pattern system. Go ahead. A lot of times we'll do a garage with a full living space beneath it. The decks, stay in place. The decks, the earth covered shelters, garage floors, homes floors, roofs. We've actually did a couple of projects which we were bound not to talk of saying where they were, where in the front areas of the entry of a house. So the house may have been say a 10,000 square foot house, but underneath the whole driveway
I see.
outside was actually a full living
Right.
apartment underground underneath the front of the house that people drove on.
Right.
Nobody ever knew it was there, but it was a safety. We've done it for a couple of projects where it was like a safe house.
Preppers, huh?
What's that?
Preppers,
Yeah.
well-heeled
Exactly.
preppers.
With a snow melt system on top.
Yeah, well, we do a lot of snow melt in our systems outside, both with light deck, roof systems, deck systems, cantilever decks, where you do the snow melt, because when you could cantilever a light deck floor 12 foot, actually Mark Matthews' house, his whole house is ICF, and he did that, he has an indoor swimming pool, and the outdoor decks is a 12-foot wraparound deck around his house, and that's all unsupported with light deck with snow melt. But depending on the span, you could see those are hats,
Yeah,
which
that's
extend to
another
make
way
the
to do
deeper
it.
channels.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how you deal with the greater spans?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so the greater the span, the more hats, what we call hats, would go on to create the deeper beam to get your longer spans.
And those are just tacked in place, basically.
Well, you can see how we have an adhesive
Oh, I see.
that gets put on, and you just glue the hats right down to the base.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, instead of inventorying all the different.
Oh yeah. Well, we make everything. Every project that we do, we'll cut all the studs, all the deck, specifically for every job.
That's all CNC.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're all CNC
Hot
machines.
wires, yes,
Yep.
hot wire.
Exactly. Okay. You know what we spoke about as far as a safe room. You can go
And
on.
the continuity across from floor to roof or floor to ceiling. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. The deck systems. That's just a tilt-up system.
I'm
That's-
not,
What's that?
I'm not quite following here.
What they were doing there, it's not a normal way of doing it on a residential, but they were doing a steel studs on the outside, and they were going to frame above that and just tie the walls into it. It was not a usual condition that I would normally see, but almost there'll be a better picture further in. With the tilt up, which will explain this a little bit
What's
better.
the point?
Doing it in this application, I thought it was totally useless. I really did, but that's what they called out and what they wanted to do. You know,
Okay,
the light deck, bracing system, they had a steel beam system. Most guys will use either a 4x4 or 2x.
Six.
Or two 2x6s. Is that Anthony's job?
Sanino, no.
Yeah. Do you know Sanino Winery out on the North Fork?
no,
Yeah, we've done a couple of very large buildings for them. Their building is ICF right on
Sure.
what road is that?
The main road with all
Yeah.
on the North Fork,
Yeah.
with all the main wineries
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
But that was a pretty cool project.
Sure.
You can see how around the perimeter, we have a bond beam around the staircase, which locks everything together. You can go on. The light deck floor, the way it's, you have a pour stop on the outside. Also, you can't see it too well, but there's also a thermal break. So there's a
I see
2.5-inch foam around the perimeter.
I see it, yeah.
Okay, you can go. Okay, some of the mechanicals, after you pour concrete, you can embed your air conditioning, those type of things directly right into the floor. Put your hi-hats in, your wiring, all that kind of stuff gets embedded in after you pour concrete. You can go. Okay, again, you can see that the hi-hats are all installed into the light deck. Just a poured slab. Just just basically a picture of another light deck job. Okay. Multi-story buildings, those are all free cantilevered decks with a light deck, which go right from the inside, cantilevers directly out. And a lot of times what you'll have it where you have a wraparound, and if you look at it, just like if you were to do wood framing, and for every foot you go out, you go back 2. Well, we do say that light deck that you're looking at that's going this way, if there was a deck going the other way, we actually will cut a channel in a transverse direction, so now the bar will be able to go crisscrossed, so you can actually have a deck going in any direction you want. So.
There's thermal bridging is an issue with that stuff.
Yeah, what we do is at the top of the panel, not at the top of the beam, but the top of the panel, we'll have a pour stop around the perimeter for that thermal break. But you can't do it at the beam pockets, because the beam pockets are the structural member.
There's a relatively new product on the market just for that condition, which is a fiberglass reinforcing with a stop and a bridge, and you can, and the bars are continuous, and they're fiberglass, which means they're not conducting.
Right.
But they go through a fiberglass plate, which is at the plane of the thermal envelope,
Okay.
and that, eliminates the thermal bridge.
These are just some of the tilt-ups where, I don't know if you've ever gotten into tilt-up,
No.
but basically we pour them in place, we stack cast them, and you just lift them and stand up the wall panels. So if you're not into that, you could go on.
It wouldn't work for this project.
No.
No, we can't.
Okay.
Cut down all the trees around it. You could.
Yeah, again, just a pouring of light deck, you can go. More tilt up.
Yeah, I gotta look at the light deck is the big issue. Right now, I have steel decking and we're just pouring on steel decking for these internal slabs.
Sure.
But
Okay. You can.
I don't know if we need thermal separation between these different floors. So we'll look at that and talk about that.
You could zip through this stuff pretty quick. I don't see anything that.
The
Oh,
tees,
actually, just go back one
to
more.
the tees, yeah. What is that about?
Going right
You're
there.
going forward.
Right there.
Oh, there it
That's
is.
the post.
That's using the post tensioning.
Oh.
You see the cable?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's using that cable. That's where we can design up to a 76-foot clear span.
Right.
So, and it's really a phenomenal way of doing it for your long span, big open areas. So you can go forward. I just wanted to stop and take a look at that.
What is the tensioning rod? Just steel?
Well, no, it's like a cable.
Cable?
And there's a sleeve that's filled with grease, and that cable goes through that, and there's like a Chinese handcuff on one side that is blocked in, so when it pulls in, there's a stopping mechanism on one side, and then there's a tensioning side on the other side. So within 2 to 3 days after pouring, you go to the other side and you tension it with hydraulic rams,
Hydraulics, right.
and that will pull that. You can actually do it so much where you can camber a floor, but you don't want to. You want to do it, you bring it to the tension that the engineer spec is done, and then after you're done with that, you just grout the face of it and you cut the end of the wire, and that's it. And you do that in each beam pocket.
But you can design it so you have access to.
Oh yeah,
to the tensioning device,
Yep.
so you could crank it up after, which is it always interested me because as in concrete and every other material, you have creep over
Yep.
time.
Right.
You could go back and you could compensate for
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
20 years, and just crank it up a little bit more.
yeah. You can go. Okay, you can go. That's just the tilt up again. That's again tilt up. That's pour stack casting. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. The categories, all the things that pretty much that we've already covered. Okay.
That's the last.
And that's the last one.
Right.
So let me just go over and I'll show you.
Yeah.
Kev, you want to hand over
Yep.
first hand over a form?
You can do it all by yourself with one hand.
Why don't you just move there? Don't you think
Yeah,
it's
you
easier?
know what? I'll go over there, Kev. You want to slide in, sir?
Let me just disconnect
Yeah, just
this.
unplug.
Yeah, this is it.
So they ship flat.
Yeah, these are
Yep.
the new ones
Yeah.
that
Right.
scissor
And
over.
obviously the
You're
advantage.
4-inch, 6-inch, all the way to 12.
Stealing some of our leaves here. Right.
We have an in-wall bracing system.
In wall, what does that mean?
Yeah, basically what it does is
It
it keeps
stretches
it
the
around.
form.
Oh, you familiar with door wall? For block work?
Yeah,
It's like
It's like a ladder bracket.
Right.
yeah, basically